Welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Well, that is my entire Rutabaga, turnips, whatever you want to call them, harvest. Not actually, I guess. I've eaten several smaller ones. There's 8 there. I think maybe there might have been a dozen altogether, because a couple of times I have cooked 2 or 3 small ones. I will be waxing a few of them, the ones that I don't eat immediately, I guess, probably the larger one there, and a couple of the other ones along with it. I had somebody ask for me to show them when I wax them. Well, it's nothing I've ever done before, but I will show you. I'm just going to use a brush, like a pastry brush or whatever, and paint on paraffin wax. I don't know, I think I'll put them in the basement first for a few days to get them really dry. I just ran them under a garden hose to wash the dirt off of them, so I don't think wax would stick at this point, I guess is what I'm saying, but I don't want to leave them too long. They tend to wither very quickly. I know from my personal experience with starting a large grocery store here on the island, the first manager of the co-op here taught me a lot of the tricks that the produce department uses. If they aren't waxed, when the store closes for the night, they go out back and they float in a tank of water, and that keeps them hydrated. If you just left them on display, they would wither. Still quite edible, but when you went to pick one up, you might not buy it because it's a little soft and wrinkly or whatever. If you remember back some of my other videos, I kept showing this squash. I wasn't sure squash or pumpkin. I was leaning towards pumpkin. It came in with some plants. I bought a 6-pack or an 8-pack or something of spaghetti squash seedlings, and that was one of them. Well, it's been outside and it got quite cold here last night. It went down to -2, I think. Anyway, there's ice and puddles and whatever, and it had been out. I kept waiting for it to turn orange, which it didn't do. I just broke it up, and it was a cross between something and a spaghetti squash. It does have some of the thready structure inside like a spaghetti squash has, and I split it up into pieces, and my hens are enjoying it. I'll give you a little look at them enjoying it here. The silkies seem to like it better than anybody else. I only have 2 of the large white chanticleers left. That was one of them that just walked away from it. But the 3 silkies are pecking away. They tend to like any kind of squash or pumpkin. They eat the seeds, but they also like the flesh, and they'll eat it right down to the skin. They often don't eat the skin because it's quite tough, but I'll just leave those there over the next 2 or 3 days. We're supposed to have some warmer weather tomorrow and rain, so the first cold snap is over. Today is Halloween, and it's almost without fail. Halloween is a clear, cold night here for the children to go out in. I think they all have to wear their snowsuits under their Halloween costume. Anyway, I will show you sometime before I upload this video, putting some wax on one of my turnips. Well, I've said that I would do a little clip when I am waxing turnips. Not that I'm an expert at turnip waxing, and it's quite straightforward. Looking for a package here to show you. Here it is. I'm just using ordinary household paraffin wax, same stuff that you use in canning. I don't think anybody does that anymore. Used to seal the top of jam jars with it. Candle making, and as it says, many other uses. Well, I'm painting turnips with it. I already painted half of this one. I melted the paraffin in a double boiler. And this is just an old double boiler. That's all I use it for. I have used it in the past to wax cheeses, melt wax to cover a cheese with. I suspect it might be kind of hard to clean it out if it's a valuable kitchen pot. You wouldn't want to put paraffin in it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a simple way of cleaning it out. But with this particular double boiler, I don't have to worry anyway. And that's really all there is to it. I'm just making sure that it has a good layer of wax all the way around. And as I've said before, the whole idea is to seal it so that the moisture in it won't evaporate out and cause it to go all wrinkly and shrink up and whatever. Don't usually see that much wax on them when you buy them in stores where they've been waxed, but that's alright, it's my own. I'm not going to try to sell it. Well, that basically is all that I've done. As you can see, I've put down some paper toweling to try to keep the wax from going everywhere. But that is my turnips being waxed. They only have a few more left to do. So I'm going to attempt to show you my cold room. It's 8 foot square, so it's pretty hard to get the camera back far enough to show very much. 8 foot square is a lot bigger than I actually need, but it was the easiest thing to do. This used to be a dog kennel, and it already had 4 foot walls. Not for Angel. Years ago I had a lovely Dalmatian, but at the time I was working shift work, and if I was working daytime or evening, I could usually come home from my meal, and the dog's name was Cheetah because of the spots, I guess. I could take her out and everything would be fine. But if I was working a midnight shift, midnight to 8 a.m., I was usually alone and couldn't leave. I got paid for my meal period, paid overtime for my half-hour meal period, but I couldn't come home. So this area had a big easy chair in it with a heat lamp suspended over the easy chair and newspapers on the floor. So if the dog had to do anything, she was all right, and she was always very glad when I came home in the morning. What you're looking at right there, if I can get that pointed at it right, there's quite a large window. When I built the house, I put large windows in the foundation, awning windows, the kind that crank out, and with the idea of someday finishing the basement, which I've never done and never will do now, I guess. I toyed with the idea. I was always going to cover it. It's particularly for potatoes. You don't want a lot of light to get in, even though I'll show you in a minute my potatoes are in brown paper bags, but nevertheless I didn't want a lot of light in here. And I toyed with the idea of opening the window just a little bit, putting a screen on it so that mice or whatever couldn't get in. And I don't know, so far I'm thinking that's probably not a good idea. It'd probably get too cold in here. I just happened to see something, I think on the internet the other day, about saving your winter squash. And the ideal temperature is in the mid-40s to the mid-50s Fahrenheit, 10 to like 12 degrees or so Celsius. And it would get much colder in here if I did that. The walls, as you can see, maybe, yeah, that's sort of a shiny aluminum. That is the cement exterior walls, and they're insulated with that product. It's foam in the middle and reflective aluminum foil on both sides. So that area is relatively well insulated. I want it to pass some of the cold in from outside. And the walls that I just built are insulated R12 with fiberglass batt insulation in the stud walls, which are on the other side. You can't see it from this side. And I've put a couple of shelves in. There's only, as I said, only one light bulb in here. I guess you're seeing things fairly well lit right now. I brought out most of my preserves, well, I guess all the preserves that I did this year. I still have some bottles of preserves that are quite good to use. They were done in the last year or two. And they're on a movable shelving unit out in the basement. I'm thinking I might move that in here. But at any rate, my pickles and relish and whatever that I've done this year are in here. And the 2 brown paper bags I've got what's left of my potato harvest. And I don't think I mentioned, or was it showing? Boom. That's my carrots in their container in the damp shavings. I guess the light is still fairly good. This is another shelf on the wall that was behind me when I just did the last clip. And you can see my newly waxed turnips, and behind them are some spaghetti squash, and then my other varieties of squash, the black futsu and the red curry or Hokkaido pumpkin, and a couple of the miniature blue Hubbards. And that little box on the end has what's left of my onions and this year's garlic in it. Not many onions left. I used them all when I was making pickles and whatever, and they weren't large to begin with, but I still have enough onions in the box, I guess, to last me a few more weeks. Well, that is my unit here. I haven't brought a thermometer down yet. We're going through a mild spell, which I'm not complaining about. We had it very cold for a few days, or down to -5 Celsius. But right now it's 15 degrees out today and very mild. I'm going to take Angel out for a hike, maybe on the beach somewhere. And that's supposed to continue for the next week or more. I mean, varying temperatures every day, but no more temperatures below freezing for at least the next week to 10 days. So I'll put a thermometer down in here and see how it does. I don't want it to get too cold and I don't want it to get too hot. So I may, in the end, end up opening that window a little crack, but we'll see later on. Well, I'll get this put together and uploaded while I still have a voice, evidently. I've been working around with fiberglass insulation. I think I inhaled a lot of it. Thank you very much for watching.